Welcome back to the JumpStart Sports Show. My name is Jason Kopp, and this is going to be episode 2 of the Dynasty Show. Today, I felt like it was a really good idea I don't know where to put this microphone. Felt like it was a really good idea to use this time and go over the 2 rookie drafts that happened since we just concluded ours yesterday. One is from a couple weeks ago in my friend Jack's league, where I did not have one pick, but I'll go over the picks and kind of my thoughts on how this all kind of went down and some of the crazy trades that happened too. And then afterward, we'll go over like my commission dynasty league, and I'll go over there also kind of my thinking of my picks and also just some other trades that happened in that one as well. Just kind of go over it. All right, let's get right into it. So let's see. Okay. So let me try to. I don't think I can really zoom in much more on this, but so Jack had the first pick in this draft. Breece Hall is the obvious consensus 101 for the New York Jets out of Iowa State. Breece Hall is an incredible prospect, which I've talked about before. But this was a pretty consensus 101, especially for a Jets fan, so it wasn't really surprising he went that direction. Here's where it got a little spicy. So the second pick was originally owned by Nick, I believe. And it was a 4-team trade. And the funny thing is, before this draft ever happened, I reached out to every single person in this league trying to get back into the draft, trying to trade. No one would take my calls. No one would take my texts. And then the second Jack picked Breece Hall, this trade got accepted. And it goes like this. Jack got the 1.02. So the same person who picked the first pick overall got the 102. And he had the 108, and he traded the 108 and a 2023 first. The person who had the 106, the person who had the 105 moved back one spot, got a 2023 first, which is still the most insane haul, and also got a 3.08, gave away 1.05, 2.08. The person who had the 106 moved back 2 slots, and also got the 2.08, gave away 1.06 and 3.08. The person with the 102, he didn't really care where he was between the 102 and 105, which in this draft, I think there are different tiers that you can look at. In my opinion, it was Breece Hall, it was Drake London, and then there was a real gap between Garrett Wilson, Treylon Burks. Honestly, Jameson Williams, Chris Olave, and Kenny Walker are all in a tier for me. So for this person, Nick, who moved back from the 102 to the 105, he knew that he'd probably have a shot at getting one of these guys, and he ended up getting his guy in Treylon Burks. So he was the last part of this deal. He moved back from the 102 to the 105, and he gained a 2023 first, which is Jack's, which will probably be pretty high up in a stacked class. So Jack traded up and got Garrett Wilson because he is a Jets fan, and he decided to stick to his love instead of going with the rational pick, which I think was Drake London. Although I do love Garrett Wilson's talent, I think he and Elijah Moore are kind of redundant. And although Zach Wilson's got that dog in him, if you don't know what that means, just check Twitter and type in Zach Wilson. But I can't complain. I think Garrett Wilson's a fine pick. Then Nick took Kenny Walker. Gabe came back up actually and took Drake London, and he barely had to trade anything to get back up. Gabe, masterful job in this draft. Then Treylon Burks went to Nick. Jameson Williams went to the combination of Falcon and Dan. Then they picked again and took Sky Moore, which I love that value. I thought this was a steal. I was trying so hard to get up to 108 for this. Chris Olave to fall to the 108. Matt Park, great job. Then Kenny Pickett went at the 109. Jack needed some quarterback help. Isaiah Spiller at the 110. Isaiah Spiller at the 110 for me is a humongous reach to Ross and his brother-in-law. I don't think that you can confidently put Isaiah Spiller in the top 10. For me, that would have been James Cook. That would have been George Pickens even. And you'll see in this draft, James Cook went 201. So Gabe, again, amazing value. And then Christian Watson goes, Rachaad White goes. This was, in my opinion, Malik Willis, huge reach. Something that I will always preach is quarterbacks who are past round one for the most part, you can't trust. There are definitely diamonds in the rough. You have Jalen Hurts, who might turn into something. You have guys like Russell Wilson and Tom Brady, Davis Mills, but that's really it. And you can't bank on that. And the fact that a second round or maybe even a third round I think it was third round quarterback to the Titans, Malik Willis. Sure, if he has all the intangibles, if he gets on the field, he'll be a stud in fantasy. But banking on that is not something I personally would do in a second round of a dynasty rookie draft. So I don't love that pick. John Mechie, I hope he does better. He was just diagnosed with acute. I'm not going to say exactly what it was because I'm not entirely sure, but it's some form of lymphatic cancer. So prayers up for him. He's an amazing talent when he's healthy. Desmond Ridder, I still don't love that pick for the same reason. Second round pick to the Falcons. Jahan Dotson, another guy I was trying to trade up for, 207. Such a steal. Love that pick. David Bell, 208. Great pick. Dameon Pierce. I've talked about this before. I like Dameon Pierce as a prospect. This is another one of those things. With guys who are around 4+ running backs, generally do not have the draft capital for their teams to actually care enough to keep them. Look at James Robinson. Look at Elijah Mitchell as the most recent examples of this. Michael Carter also falls into that category. So you can't really trust guys like that. So I personally would lean away from people like this or trade off of them once they do become starters. For Jimmy's sake, I hope that's what he does, but we shall see. George Pickens falling to the 210 is the most absurd thing to the reigning two-time champion. I can't believe that we let this happen. So he ended up getting him at 210. Amazing value. Jack loves Trey McBride, so it's not a surprise he went there. I love Daniel Bellinger, but I'm also very biased. Alec Pierce from the Colts went 303. Matt Corral, I do not like, especially after this Baker trade, but the Baker trade didn't happen at this point in time. Brian Robinson, I also don't like, but you could take him as a stash, see if he gets the goal line carries from Antonio Gibson. TDP, honestly, great value here from Ross. I think that he has a chance to become the starter. Elijah Mitchell is great, but the San Francisco 49ers have not had a consistent running back who leads the team in yards in probably over 6 years. So I think there's a very good shot that TDP ends up being the guy this year. Jelani Woods is fine. Jalen Tolbert, I actually really like that pick. Khalil Shakir, he's okay. We'll see how he develops. I am also biased here, but I love Wan'Dale Robinson. Love that pick. Hate that it went to Ryan again. I know Ryan's one of these people who watches this, so love you, Ryan, but hate you because I don't want you to win. Tyler Algier, I think that's a great pick by Jack. Zamir White, love that pick too. Keontae Ingram is not good. I'm sorry. He's just not good. He was terrible at Texas. I don't know why he's getting hyped up for Arizona. I don't get why he's drafted, but I guess it is a 4th round. You're just taking some shots. Sam Howell, 5th round pick, I believe, to the Washington Commander football team. Can't trust that. Justin Ross, that's a nice flyer. In the 4th round, I get that. That's a good flyer. As a true freshman, he broke out with Trevor Lawrence and Clemson. Had many, many injuries, including what people thought was a career-ending neck injury. So he went undrafted. He wasn't cleared, obviously, by many doctors, but otherwise he would have gone higher. But undrafted at Kansas City, it's a good shot. I really like his talent when he's healthy. So we'll see. If anyone can do it, I believe really it's Kansas City. Hassan Haskins is fine. Pierce Strong, there's some reports about that he might replace James White, but remains to be seen on that. Tyler Beatty, Tyler Batty. From the Ravens. He's fine. Not a huge fan. Romeo Dubs, that's kind of a flyer pick, and Snoop Connor is also okay. With reports that James Robinson will actually end up, not being on PUP to start the off-season training program, like you gotta wonder if he actually will somehow make it for week 1, which would be unbelievable after an Achilles injury. Achilles injuries are so hard to judge. We have such a small sample size, and we'll have to see how Cam Akers bounces back too. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how James Robinson does. But this is this draft. Let's see. My favorite pick of this draft was definitely. I mean, I love Drake London, so the fact that he fell to the 104 to me was insane. And also, everything Gabe did in this draft blows my mind that he was able to get away with it. It was highway robbery. I love Chris Olave at the 108. Great value. George Pickens at the 210 has to be the best pick in this draft. And also Jahan Dotson at the 27. Love those picks. Okay, so let's head it over to mine. So this is my commission dynasty. So for a little bit of background, this league also was created about 3 years ago. The first year in this league, I had a very competitive team. I decided to trade away Dalvin Cook because I didn't think that I had the necessary assets to win. I also traded away Russell Wilson, and I went into a rebuild. So I was the first pick this past year. I wish it was, next year because I really have high hopes for this 2023 class. But I came into this draft, just to kind of give you some mindset of what I had. I had picks 1, I had picks 2, pick 3, and pick 6. I also had picks. I had the 2-1, the 2-3, and the 2-4. And I ended up trading, before this draft ever started, the 1-6 and 1-3. No, sorry, the 1-6 and the 1-2. I traded, and I ultimately got Justin Jefferson, DeAndre Swift. There were more pieces to this deal, but those were the 2 guys I got who I really, really wanted. And then I still ended up having the first pick. I had the 3rd pick, who I was in talks with all day to try to trade out just in case, because initially Jack had the 2nd pick. And I'll actually go over that. That was a blockbuster in our league as well. Jack just happened to be a part of all the blockbusters, my man. All right, let's talk about it. So, like I said before, Breece Hall is the consensus 101. I don't even think it was up for debate. So then here comes the blockbuster. Like I said before, Breece Hall, Drake London, and then for me, there's that gap. So when the gap comes, I don't want to be the first pick. I don't want to be the first pick. The number 3 between, I say, like 3 to 7 are all the same to me. I didn't want to be that. So for me, I was trying to trade back. I wanted to accrue more 2023 picks. I had in talks potentially to get Elijah Moore plus 2023 second, which I didn't love. But I was going to try to make a deal. And I already have 5 2023 firsts. So I wanted to have one more, but it was getting really complicated, and I didn't know if I'd be able to actually make this trade. So I was very prepared for this. So I took Breece Hall. What I did not see coming was this blockbuster trade. Jack and Ryan. Jack traded Derrick Henry. No, sorry. Jack traded Najee Harris and the 1.02 to Ryan. Ryan got Derrick Henry, 2023 first, and a 2024 first. So this trade is really interesting, and I actually love it for both sides, which is something I don't say often. I really, really love this trade. Derrick Henry, because it's just like, it's so fascinating. Derrick Henry probably has 1, maybe 2 more years of relevancy. He, in the dynasty space specifically, his value is tanking because he's like 28 years old. I'll confirm that. Yeah, he's 28 years old. But I love Najee. And the 102 is great value. Like the 102, I just think this is a very even trade. Ryan wanted the 102. He gave away his 2023 first and his 2024 first, which maybe wasn't the best move, but he's getting younger and he got to pick, and he really wanted to pick. So he ended up getting his guy and he got Treylon Burks. I immediately rescinded all of my offers. I took Drake London within 30 seconds of this and was very happy. I don't think it could have gone any better for me. Chris Olave going 4, that was an interesting one. I like Chris Olave a lot, but in my opinion, I would have gone probably Garrett Wilson over him. So I thankfully got my top 2 players. But then, so Sam went Garrett Wilson. Then Brick was back up, and he took Kenneth Walker, which I think was a very good pick for him. To add some running back depth as well. I like Kenny Walker a lot, but Seattle worries me because after drafting Rashad Penny in the first round, they still gave the ball to Chris Carson when both were healthy, and I just can't trust Pete Carroll, and I think that team is going to be absolute dog shit. Jameson Williams, I love his upside. Brian Sachs took him at the 107. He couldn't get a deal done, even though he was trying to. Russo's spicing it up. James Cook at the 108. I thought that I would be able to get James Cook at the 2-1, but I was incorrect. Russo took him at the 108. Great pick, Russo. I'll give it to you. Henry had the easiest pick of the litter with Sky Moore at the 109. Loved that pick for him. Rachaad White at the 110. I didn't love as much. I'm not that high on Rachaad White. For me, there's a clear top 3 running backs and then a huge drop. But, I can respect it. Leonard Fournette came in looking like Lindsey Lenny. So there's a shot that Rachaad White ends up earning Tom Brady's trust. And if that happens, wheels up, right? So I had the 201 and the 203. I decided I just wanted my guy. So I saw George Pickens there. I have a lot of faith in George Pickens. He was a top prospect, especially before he got hurt his freshman year in Georgia. And I trust the Steelers and how they evaluate receivers. So I think there's a real shot that Deontay Johnson is gone after this year because they'll have to pay him, and I don't think they will. And I think that George Pickens, after a year removed from injury, I think his wheels up for him. And I have a lot of faith in Mike Tomlin. So I like my pick. I think it's a sky-high ceiling pick for me. Kenny Pickett, great pick for Henry. He really needed quarterback help. So I think that was a great pick. So I was at the 203. I was sitting there with Christian Watson on the board, Jahan Dotson on the board. For me, it was between one of those two. I didn't want either of them. I had my 3 swings, and I didn't really care after that. I think there was a huge drop-off in this draft in talent. Christian Watson has a sky-high ceiling too with Aaron Rodgers, but I just don't trust him. So I traded that pick to Ryan. I got a 2023 second and a 2024 fourth. To me, that's fine. I think I have a better shot taking a shot on someone in the 2023 draft in the second round. So I was adding to my draft haul that I had. So Ryan took Christian Watson. I think that was the right pick. Brick took Dameon Pierce. Again, I don't love Dameon Pierce. I would have taken Dotson. But he has a stacked receiver core, and honestly, Brick has a real shot at the title this year. So I think that was a good pick for a win-now team. Personally, I'm still selling the second that he starts. Jahan Dotson was an awesome pick. Great job by Jack at the 205. Love that. Shu still took John Mechie even after the news. I respect that. I hope John Mechie comes back soon. Shu could really use it because his receiver core is terrible. Ryan Sachs taking Isaiah Spiller. I like the value there. I like it a lot better than where he went in Jack's league. The 207 makes a lot more sense. Trey McBride at 208. Russo, great pick. I think he has a lot of talent. He was a second-round pick. for the Cardinals. He'll be behind Zach Ertz, but he has a lot of talent. Tyler Algier, I'm really iffy on Tyler Algier. I like him. We'll see what happens in the Atlanta backfield, but it's another one of those situations where he doesn't have draft capital, so I would trade him the second he starts. Desmond, so I had the 210. I hated everyone here, to be honest. I would have taken Jalen Tolbert. I would have taken David Bell. And I wouldn't have taken Wandale, even though I love him, that early. So I just canvassed the league. Naturally, I offered a second round pick, or I offered this pick for a future second to pretty much everyone. Shu, who is my lovely co-host, after telling me he declined, accepted. So that was a fun thing to figure out. I am glad he took it. He took a chance on Desmond Ridder, who, remains to be seen. We'll have to see if he pans out. I don't love it personally, but I could be wrong. Malik Willis at 301 by Jack. Obviously a huge upside pick, but I still don't like Malik Willis. Alec Pierce, good pick. Henry, I think the fact he lasted the 3-2, he could be a pretty good player. I think he'll be more of a burner though to start his NFL career, just with Michael Pittman and if Paris Campbell's healthy, he was a stud too. Jalen Tolbert, 3-3. I really like that. Good job, Ryan. Let's see. Matt Corral, 3-4. I said before, I really don't like those picks. They're, to me, really useless. Zamir White, I like at the 3-5. I think he boasts a ton of upside. Next year, when they probably won't pay Josh Jacobs, I could see a full-blown committee this year because Josh McDaniels is there as well. Justin Ross, 3-6. This was really early for me. Again, if he pans out, it will look like the biggest steal of the draft. Justin Ross has a crazy upside, but I just personally would have taken David Bell. That's personal preference, or I would have taken Wandale. Rousseau goes Homer. Oh, sorry. David Bell goes to Sachs, which we try to work out a deal, but Sachs, him in trades he wants too much from me. Wandale, love the pick. He's a midget, but we love him on the Giants. Hassan Haskins, like I said before, maybe he turns into something. He's fine. I still don't like Brian Robinson. I thought that was a little early. For me, I would have taken TDP over him. I couldn't believe he was still there. Brick takes TDP. Great pick. Jelani Woods, Pierre Strong, Keontae Ingrams, Kyron Williams, I can't believe was drafted. Khalil Shakir, Tyquan Thornton, really speedy dude. Broke the record, but didn't actually. Tyler Batty, Sam Howell, and then Calvin Austin wraps it up. Besides that, the other trade that happened was Ryan decided to, for whatever reason, trade Davis Mills to Henry for a 2024 third-round pick, which is absurd value for Henry. So amazing trade for him. I thought that everyone had a pretty strong draft. I think, honestly, I'm biased, but I've loved my draft, getting Breece Hall, Drake London, and Pickens. I thought Henry had probably one of the best values in the draft with Sky Moore at 9. Sky Moore being, probably the go-to option, Kansas City, for years to come. I love Sky Moore as a player. I think that was a really good pick. Isaiah Spiller, I thought him falling to the 2-7 was amazing value. I, of course, then went to get Daniel Bellinger off free agency, which I successfully did. Ryan, good try. But yeah, that's pretty much the draft right there. And I just wanted to make a quick video on this and just talk to you guys a little bit about kind of the strategy. In most drafts, like last year in my draft, I also had a few picks. I ended up not even picking at all. I had the 104 or 5, and I just got sniped on Jamar Chase by Russo. And the second that happened, I had no interest in the pick again, and I decided to trade down. the ability to trade down when you see tiers, and I kind of talked about this in the startup draft, but it applies everywhere. Everyone gets rookie fever. You don't really know it until you're on the clock and you see them, especially once you hear training camp reports. And this year we did it a little bit early, but last year was, post training camp and post hype. So everyone wants a piece of these rookies. You don't really know how they're going to turn out, but use that to your advantage. I was able to flip what ended up being 2 firsts and Terry McLaurin, who I do love Terry so much, but I was able to flip them and get Justin Jefferson, DeAndre Swift. Like you can make some pretty amazing trades if you just leverage your picks correctly. Also, when people are not valuing first round picks at the time, so like people don't value 2024 picks right now, because they're so on the mindset of it's happening right now. Go get them, because in 2 years they're going to be gold again, and then you can again trade them for proven talent, or you will have a first round pick or a second round pick in what might be a deeper draft than the one you're in. So people don't really understand that. People don't really see it that way. Once I figured that out myself, that's what I've been trying to do. 2023 picks are gold. I got lucky that, I made some trades in 2021. And it just happened to be that, I will be very well off next year when the guys like Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Zach Evans, if he plays well, Tank Bigsby, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Keyshawn Boutte, like there are very, very, very good players in that first round. And I have 5 firsts, and I'm going to try to get 1 more during the year. So I have the ability to move up and move down. Next year, like for all players who are listening to this right now, this is the year to do a productive struggle where you can get those first round picks. It might be too late already. But 2024 is a good class too, man. Trayvon Henderson is a stud, and more guys will pop up as well. You just need to know what people are valuing and then kind of use it to your advantage. For me, everyone in this league knows that I am just trade thirsty. But I use that to my advantage because that way people know that if anyone's going to trade, I will trade. No one on my team is off limits because everyone has a price, as I've talked about before. And, besides that, I hope you all have a fantastic day. I hope you enjoyed both of these these are real money leagues. These are the Dynasty rookie drafts. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get into that first one. No one likes me enough to get me in there, but happy I got to share this with you guys and share some thoughts. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.